Good morning, folks. Hope you're all doing well. I love you. Big three, my friends. Happy, healthy, safe. I'm not walking the dogs this morning, and I don't have anything on. Okay, it's just me and the dogs. We're walking. We're listening to urban nature. Anyway, I start thinking because when you don't have anything on in the background, you think. So I don't know how many of you watched Catherine Austin Fitts on Tucker Carlson. There's another video I linked out to somebody else. If I remember, I'll put them both down below so you can check them out. Tucker Carlson interview is 2 hours long. Super interesting, though. Anyway, it's been burning up the internet like wildfire. And she's talking about DUMBs, DUMBS, deep underground military bases. And in tinfoil hat land, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you reside. We've known these things have existed forever, and we were conspiracy theorists. Well, apparently we're not. There was a guy who came out years ago. I was going back and forth with Q on this one, and he had the receipts for all the logistics and supplies, like the elevators and the concrete and all this stuff, and he put it up on the internet, which of course immediately got, written off as conspiracy theory and made up facts. Well, she says there's $21 trillion so far that they've invested in there. Now, a little backfill, and then we'll get to the point. You know me, it takes we're circular in our thinking sometimes. So, Ben Davidson is great for this kind of stuff, space weather newsman or whatever on X and on ScrewTube. But he tells you every day what the sun's doing, solar flares and stuff, and this tied into that power surge they had in France and Spain that knocked out the power there because the breakers tripped on the solar panels because the Earth's magnetic field is weakening, and so the extra electrons and protons overcharge the solar panels, throwing the breaker, blacking out France and Spain. Southern France, if I remember correctly. So Chan Thomas wrote Adam and Eve, Story of Adam and Eve. Project Nanook was the deep Arctic coring that they did, where they saw layered fossilized remains of the ice sheet, and then a warm climate, and then an ice sheet, and then creatures from a warm climate, and then the ice sheet, and then creatures from a warm climate, basically letting the world know that about every 12,600 years it does this, and then it goes back again at some point. That's why there's salamanders in Antarctica, not because Antarctica drifted down and then froze. Antarctica will be on the equator when the poles flip again. Anyway, go over to Ben Davidson's channel. Really interesting stuff. Tucker Carlson, Catherine Austin Fitts are talking about why the military is building all these bases. Well, they believe that a extinction level event is coming. Well, at this point, we know they come every 12,600 years, roughly. I mean, you can't put an absolute clock on it, but roughly. So the military decided they were going to build all these bases. Catherine Austin Fitts actually got offered a position to be one of the people who gets to go down there if this happens while she's still alive and kicking. And she turned it down. And what she said was she'd rather live up here and take her chances with us crazy people than living down there with them, because let's face it, those people are reprehensible scum for the most part. I would not want to spend any long amounts of time with the vast majority of politicians. They're just narcissistic psycho and sociopaths, and no. So now we're getting to the point of all this. If you did any kind of psychology classes, right? Psychology classes. You've heard about B.F. Skinner, and everybody talks about Russian Bell Pavlov. And this is all about conditioning animals to respond in a certain way to a certain stimulus. Pavlov rang the bell, fed the dogs. Then he rang the bell and he didn't feed the dogs, but the dogs still drooled because they expected the food to come. In a nutshell, the absolute basic explanation, he was programming the animals to respond in a specific fashion to a specific stimuli. They've been doing this to us for decades. And I started thinking today that the reason they've been doing this to us for decades is to get us separated so that they're able to determine who, because it's not just going to be the politicians. I mean, they need their slaves, they need their monkeys down there so that they can live the cushy lifestyle. Now, I'm going to assume, but only because I've been evil long enough in my life to think as these people think, that their accommodations are going to be 4 and 5 star, and your accommodations are going to be huge, giant barracks. Yeah, it's not going to be like Fallout, where they all have these cool 1950s apartments and stuff, right? Most likely, if you're extremely lucky, you may get a small unit. Probably not. You would have to be in some sort of service position where they need you on their side, so they give you slightly better luxuries. But the vast majority of people they already view as chattel and slaves, and they don't really care. So why would they give you anything but the absolute basics? You will live in the pot and eat the bugs. Okay. So what they've been trying to do is condition and sort us into groups of acceptables and malcontents. And I don't know what the limiting factor in cap is going to be. I honestly don't. I know that the Georgia Guidestones had it at 500 million, but that's globally, right? So that's not just going to be here. We don't have 500 million people here. Now you're saying, but dude, that's just the U.S. government doing it. No. But dude, it's just the Chinese government. No. But dude, it's just the Namibian. No. See, we're making the common mistake here. We believe that these are people loyal to their countries and their places of birth. They are not. They are globalist cabal scum. Now, if history has shown us anything, it's that the first people up against the wall after the communist revolution were the revolutionaries. Because they're just troublemakers and nobody fucking wants them there. That being said, understand that if you do get chosen to be one of the select few that gets to ride out the cataclysm underground with the elites, all of your rights will be rescinded. You will have no rights. Again, they are not looking for anything other than slaves. You can't talk loudly. You'll hurt someone's feelings and cause a kerfuffle. Freedom of speech? Gone. Freedom of religion? Well, you worship us because we're the elites who saved you. Gone. Your right to keep and bear arms for self-protection? Well, what do you need that for? We're here to protect you. Gone. So all that shit's going to go out the window. So you'll have no right to privacy, obviously. Why would you? You don't need it. What are you doing that you need a right to privacy of, comrade? On the plus side, I'm not going to get invited down there. They don't want people like me. I'm a malcontent. I'm a bad person. I do that weird thing, like think. Just a heads up. So while you're watching them try to strip all your rights away now, and if you look at Europe and the rest of the world, where they never really had them to begin with because they were monarchies, that's what they want to do to you. Look at Canada. Okay? Canada theoretically had almost as many rights as we do. Except they were still under the crown. They didn't get rid of the crown. That was where they made their mistake. But dude, they're not part of the crown anymore. They were part of the crown long enough for them to be conditioned into being good little fucking idiots. And I like the Canadians, don't get me wrong. I know plenty of them, and a lot of them tend to be really solid folk. You just want to be careful drinking with them because they drink like fucking Russians, who are also good solid folk, by the way, just in case you didn't know. Their political class is not representative of their people, much like our political class is not representative of us. They're supposed to be. They don't have to be because they're special, and you're just a peon. That's how these fuckers think. So, go back and watch the Catherine Austin Fitts stuff. Super interesting. If you want to know where you need to be, well, check out the Ben Davidson stuff. Tim Pool actually had him on a couple of days ago on his morning show that he does on Rumble now. And one of the things that he brought up was the best guessed maps of what the world will look like after the pole shift and the crustal displacement. Oh, scusi. I'm not even drinking beer. Yeah, so go back and watch those. They're really interesting. You know, we've been talking for how many years on this channel now, and again, you know, you motherfuckers, and I love you, but we told you should keep cash on hand, but any extra cash should be converted over into something more durable. Yeah, you need food and stuff. So if you look at the, well, 3-4 of my neighbors have solar panels on their houses. Well, if all those solar panels tripped, those guys aren't going to have power. Neither will I, because the power goes down. And then what do you have? Fuck all is what you have. Bupkis, my friends. So, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you know, Ben Davidson the other day on his channel on ScrewTube, Space Weather Newsman, something like that. Look it up; it's there. You'll see. There's a big picture of the sun usually every morning. But he goes, I have people ask me all the time, well, when should I start preparing? He goes, about 10 years ago. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't start doing it now. Better late than never. So, I'm not trying to fuck your Friday up. I'm not trying to bring you down, man. I'm trying to be like the heavy man. But this is important shit for people to know. Just throwing it out there. As an aside, a cutie that works across the hall from me. She's age appropriate, right? So, you know, her kids are all grown, and she's closer to my age than she is to her kids' age. She's hot too, smoking hot. Regardless, I'm watching one of the tinfoil hat interviews, and she came over because she needed to ask me for a favor. And so I went into information dump mode because she asked a question, and then I was just like, well, because I'm really bad at that. If you ask me a question, I'll give you all the information, and it's like this. It's just how I do it. And then she was like, okay. See, that's the hard part, man. I'm just trying to save people. That's all we should all be doing. And not everyone needs to be saved, but it's not really my choice to make. On the other hand, I prefer to save the people I like and love more than people I don't. Just throwing it out there. So, we'll catch fuckers on the next one. Thanks for putting some eyeballs on. You know, I love you. People. My people. Big three, happy, healthy, safe, honorable, dutiful, vigilant, gray man, head of soul, hot and handy. Hot and handy comes with its own laundry list of responsibilities. That's on you to be compliant with. The fact that I have to say shit like this on the internet is absolutely drives me bonkers, but there's a whole profession of people don't really need to be saved. Just throwing it out there. Allegedly, not all of them are bad. Not all of anybody is bad. I know. Just saying, representative samples aren't doing really well for public appeal. Doesn't matter, because I got to get my shit together. I have to get into work, shower and shave, and then I have to go get a tire that had to be shipped in from Illinois, because apparently Costco is only going to be selling 16-inch tires, and I run 15-inch rims on the truck. I might be getting the last one in America. Asinine. But all about conditioning, by the way. Don't. You need to buy new all the time. You don't want that old stuff. That old stuff is old. Fuck you. And I need to get fitted for glasses. I need to pick frames out today, so that should be interesting. You might be seeing me with actual real glasses instead of just cheaters. I need them for driving. I'm getting old, man. All right, my friends. Sorry for the bummer, but happy Friday. Have a good weekend. I'll catch you on the next one. Skol. Oh, that's my shoulder locks up while I'm trying to drink. Fanable.